Can you hear us yet?
I can't even see the town of Comox anymore. Can you?
Yeah, I can still see the town of Comox there.
Okay, I see Marvin also.
There's Marvin.
Hey, Marvin.
Good evening. I'd like to call the meeting to order. Also like to acknowledge that we're on traditional First Nations land. First item is introduction and approval of the late items. We don't have any. So first item is adoption of the agenda. All in favor? Okay, that's carried. And we have two delegations. First of all, we have Harold Long and Derek Jensen. Gentlemen, please take the podium. You have 10 minutes or so and be time for some questions. And to speak into the mic, you'll have to press the button there. And when you're red, you're live. Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor and Council. My name is Derek Jensen. I'm with McManny Consulting. This is Harold Long with Valley View Estates. Harold is the developer for this development proposal. I'm the engineer, agent, project manager. We don't want to take up a whole bunch of your time here this morning. Obviously, as Harold kind of alluded to, I think staff reports to council with respect to this proposal is thorough. It certainly in detail describes the development proposal, the associated amenities, that type of thing. I just wanted to perhaps highlight a couple of items and then open the forum for any questions or comments from council or the mayor. So the property currently carries the former CVRD zone from when it was prior to incorporation into the town of Comox. We're essentially here today, and these applications are being presented to council for consideration as a result of that CVRD zoning, CR1. Clearly, that large lot estate slash domestic farmland kind of zoning is not in keeping with the town's official community plan and intended use for the area when it was incorporated. So this is the initial step in that process towards securing the official community plan and zoning to allow development to happen in an orderly and structured manner. It is a proposed mixed-use development consisting of single-family, large lot single-family, small lot single-family, multifamily townhouse, patio homes, as well as duplex. A total of 83 units are being considered in this proposal. The site is probably well known to everybody in the room here, but for those perhaps that aren't aware, this is the McDonald Road frontage. McDonald Road ties into Guthrie Road, well within walking distance to the Quality Foods shopping center, BC Transit on Guthrie Road. There's fuel and snacks at the co-op. So Land and Seas just down the road. All of those, what you would consider perhaps for most people to be daily activities or daily destinations, whether it be Aspen Road Elementary, like I say, grocery stores, pharmacies, those types of things are all readily available. In addition to having the provision for walking distance, there's sidewalks, there's greenway walkways. One of the amenities included in this development proposal is an extension of the McDonald's Greenway walkway in the city of Courtenay that will extend down the Hector Road corridor to Aspen Road, make that linkage as well as do some landscape improvements across the McDonald Road frontage. Cash contribution will be provided towards the town's affordable housing contribution, cash contribution towards the town's sewer DCC projects, as I say, partnership with the town with respect to the Greenway walkway. All of the infrastructure necessary to support this development was installed either with the previous phase that Harold and I did back in '06, which is the first phase of Lancaster, and or the Hudson Trunk that the CBRD put in. So everything is there to support the development as proposed. There's no off-site improvements necessary. Sorry, off-site improvements necessary. We have worked with town staff to incorporate the alternate road cross section within this development proposal as well. You may be familiar with this alternate road cross section that was incorporated at 1182 Lazo, as well as 1170 Lazo, and also recently at the corner of Guthrie and Lazo. So, and Dakota Place, actually, Harold kind of started that trend. So, again, that's as town staff have provided the background and the rationale for those alternate road cross sections being reduction in speed, improved accessibility for pedestrians, and that kind of thing, as well as providing additional cycling opportunities. So that's kind of the development proposal on a high level. Did you want to add a few things, Harold?
Yeah, I'll add a couple of things. Some of you might not be aware that this the zoning proposal is came out of the last development I did down on Dakota. Marvin and staff were looking to move into higher density in both single family and multi, and this property kind of as strictly against single family now. And so we're moving into multiple zones that will densify that area and work well in moving forward to a denser area, which the intent is under the plan. The community plan is to densify the residential area. So the process has taken a while. I think Barb and I agree that the proposed zones are different and will increase our density and also are functional. So that's about all I have to add on that. So.
Okay, thank you, gentlemen. And Harold, thank you very much for your patience in this. I know that you were bumped once in the queue as we moved forward with some other things, and I do really appreciate you holding off, and hopefully this comes to fruition and everybody's happy. Yeah, I'm sure it will be. Marvin's twitching there on the camera. Okay, so thank you. And to council, any questions for either Derek or Harold? Councillor Grant.
I wasn't going to say anything, but I will. Well, I was contemplating it. So I really quite like the mix that you put together here. I think it kind of gives a little bit for everybody. And one observation that I had was I think it gives a real range and affordability too. So it seems to me with some of these smaller strat lots, it will allow people to get into a little bit smaller house at a little more affordable price. So that's an aspect that I like, but more of a comment than a question. But
A lot. Oh, sorry. I think we'll see a lot of seniors that'll be looking for that, and we purposely went with a Bearland strata versus a conventional strata, so that your neighbor's not over your back. The only thing that's controlled in it is basically the services, so people can't tell you what color your door is going to be or the flowers you wish to grow. So.
Any other questions?
Ooh.
Councillor McKenna, your hands up.
Yeah, thanks, Mayor. So thanks for the presentation. And yes, I'd like to echo thanks for your patience in this application. I know it's taken a while to get here, but I really like the diversity, like Councillor Grant said, and I love the range of affordability that's being offered in this subdivision. And I think it's a really nice job done by both staff and with the developers as well. So kudos for that. My question is, what do you propose to be, if any, the most contentious issue when it does go to public hearing?
Maybe I can answer that. We have completed the public engagement process through that exercise, whether it be the mail out or hosting a presentation. We did have a number of residents within the existing adjacent development to the south. Primarily residents near the end of the constructed road, and their preference was to have their road terminate into a cul-de-sac. They were concerned about increased traffic volumes on their local roads as it relates to this development. And their preference was to, again, have their road terminate into a cul-de-sac so that their frontage would not experience any further traffic. To that, we indicated that there is an extensive traffic report on file with the town. That traffic report culminated in really the expected vehicle loads within the existing neighborhoods are going to be far, far below what would be considered a threshold for capacity on those local roads. To that end, I can't say there won't be more traffic. Clearly, a road that is currently, dead-ended is likely only going to experience, a couple of cars a day from the local residents. With the extension as the network plan as presented, yes, they're going to see more vehicle traffic. Does that vehicle traffic, trigger any safety or operational concerns? Absolutely not.
Thank you. Councillor Minions.
Just a quick question on the 36 townhomes planned. I'm not sure how far in the actual development plan they are, but is there going to be on-site parking for each of the, like a garage plus a pad, or will it be kind of one included parking spot per townhouse for those 36?
Yes, on the patio home or the townhouse site there, I believe we have 22 units going in there. And basically there's 2 parking spots for each of the units. So we do have sufficient there. We all know that some families have quite a few vehicles, myself included, and that at times it becomes a bit of a problem. And but certainly we're trying to. We've definitely got enough to accommodate the usage intended, and if people have their boat in their car taking up their parking spot, it's going to be tough. But yes, we didn't look at cutting back on it at all.
Any further questions from council? Councillor McKenna.
Yeah, just a question to staff was mentioned an extensive traffic report. Is it possible that council could be privileged to that report?
Is that the 2011 traffic report? Do we know? Marvin, is that the 2011 report?
There was a traffic study done for this development to determine whether or not we needed to link up McDonald and keep it going straight through into Aspen. So essentially to connect the two. And yes, we can make that available. We'll send it in email link to all of council.
Great, thank you.
Yeah, that'd be great. Just because what I have read, that does seem to be the most contentious issue are those cul-de-sacs that are moving through into, straight through. So that'd be great. Thank you, Marvin.
Thank you, Pat. Any further questions? Seeing none, gentlemen, thank you very much. It looks like a great proposal, and good luck.
Yes, thank you for the opportunity to approach council and open the door of discussion. Thanks a lot.
And we have a next delegation, Super Sue Finneron and Tom Grant. I didn't say that. And I think they'll be with us in a moment. Good evening, Tom Grant. How are you? Let's see, Super Sue didn't tell you anything. Yeah, yeah, there we go. Okay, thank you. But it was supposed to come from Tom. Okay, that's close enough. Soup and Ron, Tom Grant are going to speak to us about Dawn to Dawn. So you have 10 minutes and there'll probably be some questions. And please go ahead, Tom. Good to see you.
Now I'm on? Oh, okay. So in 2008, Helen Boyd and I started up Dawn to Dawn Action on Homelessness Society because there was nobody else in the Comox Valley that was housing the homeless. We had a shelter, you know, on Pidcock Avenue, but homeless shelters, all they do is just recycle homeless people, right? They keep them in there for 3 days or 30 days, and then they're just back out on the streets. And it was our intention to try and house all the homeless people in the Comox Valley, which is a pretty noble aspiration, but that's all it was. But over the years, we developed our program, which is basically what we call a scattered housing approach. When you try and put a whole bunch of homeless people in one unit, like you see on Pidcock Avenue, and you don't have support services in there, what you end up is exactly what the town experienced here at the Port Augusta Motel. You know, when you don't give them supports, and you put them all together, it's a hopeless situation, trust me. So we started out with a scattered housing approach where we rent houses or apartments throughout the Comox Valley. And I think right now it's rather fluid, but I think right now we're renting about 23 houses, 23 apartments, several houses that we're renting, and we also own 4 condominiums. Well, we have mortgages on 4 condominiums, as well as we have 4 sea cans, which are sea containers, 20-foot sea containers that we have in conjunction with the Comox Rotary Club that we have converted into these wonderful little houses. I don't know if you've seen them, but they are ideal for putting the really hard to house people in. We've got these units down at Maple Pool Campsite, and they've changed the lives of several people because, you know, if you can imagine living underneath a bridge for years, and then all of a sudden, you know, you're offered it's only 20 feet long, but it's got a shower, it's got a bathroom, it's got a little kitchenette, and it's got a bed, you know. So these things have been super successful, as has the scattered housing approach, because we have changed the lives of many, many people in the Comox Valley. So, and besides our housing, we also have a rec program, which is, you know, we're not trained in psychiatric and you know, all these services you would expect from mental health and addiction. But what we can do with these people is we can take them bowling. We started out the street soccer program. We've taken people skiing, you know, with money that we get. We raise funds and we get support from various community groups. And so that's the sort of supports we can offer rather than mental health, but it makes a big difference in somebody's life when they can go out and play soccer. So, forgive me. I sometimes get a little emotional about this. Anyway, so that's kind of what we do for around the community. Now, besides this, all the houses and the apartments we rent and everything else, we are in the midst of a program up in Cumberland where Cumberland have given us land and well, gave it to BC Housing or VHA. And we're in the process right now of building a 23 unit. It's for families, single parent families. So it's not what you're going to see at Port Augusta or that other unit, the Junction it's called. This is going to be for just poor families. And that'll be 23 units. And we're hoping to break ground probably January. So that's in conjunction with the Women's Transition Society. Anyway, the reason why we're here today is that an opportunity has come up for us in Comox in one of the houses we rent in Comox. And it's a 5-bedroom house, and we placed a family of 5 in this place. And here again, they're working poor, and they need us. They need us desperately. And so we're helping them out in this house that we rent. Well, the guy who owns the house has found he has to sell it. But he doesn't want this family kicked out. He wants them to stay there. So he approached us to buy the house from him. It's appraised at $505,000, and he's willing to sell it to us for $480,000 if we'll keep this family. And of course, that's what we do. And so we have no intention of moving these people out. We're trying to close on this house on January the 2nd, and we've got some financing in place with the bank that we deal with, but we need some more help to help purchase this house. And if you can imagine, the province will go out and they'll spend $300,000 a unit to house one person in Victoria or Vancouver, and they'll spend more in Vancouver. They'll spend $500,000. Well, with $480,000, we can house 5 people. So that's the ask here tonight. We would like the town of Comox, because this is in the town of Comox, and I know you've got your affordable housing fund. And if the mayor and council could see a way clear to grant us $60,000 for the purchase of this house, that would go a long way. Is there any questions?
Thanks, Tom. So it is 60,000, and when is it that you need it by? I understand you're closing the 2nd of January. Just use the mic.
Got to hit that again? Oh, okay. As long as it's in the 2021 calendar year, that would suffice.
Great, thank you. Questions from council? Councilor McKenna?
Hi, Tom and Sue. Thanks for your presentation. So this, for me, opens up a larger discussion around Comox's affordable housing contributions and where we should be spending our money. And I would recommend that we take this discussion and move it to a strategic planning session so we can utilize this discussion amongst other discussions to see where we can allocate some of this money to help our most vulnerable populations.
I guess that's not a form of a question. That's just information then.
Just, I think it's a statement. I think we need to have a larger discussion. Yeah, and in order to help our most vulnerable, I see this as a potential solution, but I also see other solutions out there as well. And we do have an affordable housing amenity fund that maybe we should be really looking at as a council, what we're going to do with that money and where we're going to use it. I know a lot of it has been used, or some of it, I should say, is being used as we move towards other developments and purchases of, Aspen, et cetera. But yeah, I'd like to move this discussion to a planning meeting, maybe through the CAO, if that's a discussion we can have, and based on council's request.
Yeah, we can forward that to the, I'm looking at Marvin here, but I don't think pulling those numbers in the amount that we have available for that type of spending, or the amount that's already been reserved for that type of spending should be pretty easy to come up with and can be included on your strategic planning meeting next week.
Councillor Grant.
Still got to figure out this.
And there's only one Councillor Grant now. We used to get confused back in the day, so.
Would you quit hitting the button? Yeah, stay out of it. Okay. So, yeah, I guess that's interesting. Something that you probably don't know is that we've changed the way we do our meetings now. Where we used to do strategic planning once a year, now our COW meetings are basically strategic planning meetings. So when they say bump it off to that, that's next week.
Right.
So I think it's probably a good strategy for a couple of reasons. One is that we have already spent all the money in our affordable housing fund for this year. So that's why the question of when you need it for next year is because we do have some projects coming through, just not sure when and when that money is going to arrive. So that was going to be my suggestion too, was to put this off and let's get a report from staff and see if in fact we can come up with the dollars and if this is the appropriate way to spend it. I personally really like the dawn to dawn method of scattering the housing. I think it's a really good strategy. And I remember you telling me about it years ago and I kind of, yeah, whatever, but it really is probably the right way to do it, especially for our community. So I think that's probably what we'll see happen if that's the wish of council.
Great. Thank you, Councillor Minns.
Thank you. And that was a really interesting presentation. Thank you for that. This is now that we know we're going to be talking about it next week, that's great. I just had a side question on the cost of the sea cans that you guys do that are the 20 feet. What is the approximate cost of one of those?
Well, you got to understand, we use a lot of volunteer labor, right? But we have been building these things from start to finish, and for $20,000. Now they're not for everybody, because they're only 20 feet long. But man, when you're living under the bridge, yeah, $20,000 that we've been able to finish them for.
Great, thank you. Any further questions? Well, Sue, Tom, thank you very much for coming. I do like the idea of keeping our money for our vulnerable populations in Comox. I think this is a great opportunity, and we will be talking about it, and we'll be in touch.
Well, I thank you very much for your time and your consideration on this. Thank you.
Thanks, everyone.
Thanks. Okay, so we're done with the delegations. Just a motion to go in camera, and then we will reconvene back to the regular council meeting. So we have a motion, go in camera. All in favor? Okay, carried. So we will go in camera and the staff will leave. You're not technically staff anymore, so you can stay.